So with the picture, I'm going to go to Google Chrome or whatever, and you're going to look up the person you want to do. The best one you can think about is one that has like a lot of character to their face because it's easier to do. Like Einstein, he has that crazy hair, or just someone that's not like super like smooth, no dimples, nothing, so you can't add anything to their face for characters. So for example, I'm going to do Bob Marley, so I'm going to type in Bob Marley. Of course, I have to find a school appropriate picture of Bob Marley. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to choose the second one because it's more school appropriate. I'm going to say view image so I get the actual full size image and not just taking that thumbnail picture. So I'm going to hold down Control, click, save image as, and then I would save it into my folder. Once I have my picture, now I can go into, go into Illustrator. So I already have this document set up, but I'm going to show you from the beginning. I'm going to go to File, New. Depending on which way my picture was going, either it's going to be going up and down or it's going to go horizontal, just depending on your picture, what will look good. I'm going to go mine up and down. I'm going to say OK. Now that I have that blank piece of paper, I only have one layer. Let me delete some of this stuff so it's not so confusing. I'm going to say File, Place. I'm going to go to File, Place, and then pick my picture, say Place, and then I click and drag it to the area I want. I may have to resize it a little bit, and it's okay if you have to resize yours a lot and it's pixelated, because eventually we're just going to delete it. Okay, so we're just basically using it as a template to trace, to kind of know where the letters need to go more than anything. So first thing I'm going to do once I place that picture, I'm going to lock that layer, because I do not want to do anything to that layer, because when I am working with my letters, I want to be able to toggle it on and off so I can see that it actually looks like what I think it looks like. So I'm going to name layer 1, pick, and then I'm going to say add new layer and say text. Okay. Some of the things that you may run into is if you're on this layer, it won't let you do anything. So if you come to text on this layer, it's going to like show you like a little no sign. It's because you're on that locked layer. And then just make sure you flip over to that text layer. That usually happens right on the beginning, and then people are like, what's going on? It's because that you're on that locked layer. So for the text, there's several different ways. As we can see, if you click and hold on the type tool and tear it off, since you're going to be using this a lot, I would come over here and just drag it over. Okay. So there's a regular text tool, there's type in an area, type on a path, and then they're repeated. Vertical type on a tool, vertical type in an area, vertical type on a path. Okay, so I've never used this one. It must be new to the CC. So I'll look into that one later. So for his dreads, since those are very distinctive for Bob Marley, because I want to try to think of the most things I can make it look like him when I remove the picture from it. So what I would do, I would probably do type on a path for this. So I would come in maybe with my paintbrush, and I would create the path, because you remember you have to have a path in order to do type on a path. You can't just use the text tool, it's going to give you an error. And then I'm going to come here with type on a path. But since this is Bob Marley, and I know he has a ton of lyrics, why don't I just go and put lyrics in his, so his lyrics are part of his dreads. And you wouldn't have to go type that out. You can go to his site. I'm sure there's a site with his lyrics that you can copy and paste. Okay, so for right now, I'm just going to put a letter in here. I think I clicked on the wrong part. Okay, I'm just going to put a letter in here right now. Oh, I used to be able to. Let me change it so we can. The font size a little bit so I don't have to sit here all day. So if whoever you choose has something like famous that he says, quotes or whatever, music, lyrics, try to use those to your play, because it turns out way better when it comes to the whole portrait itself. So say I've done a few of those layers, I can come now in here and turn off my pick so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so sometimes I toggle it back and forth to kind of make sure I'm on the right path. Now, other things that I want to see is, because as soon as I teach type on a path, everyone wants to do type on a path for the whole thing. Okay, I want a variety. So with the type tool, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do, let's see here, a B. I'm going to do an uppercase B. Okay, I'm going to come in here and change the font. Here in a minute, I'm going to show you how to download a font from DaFont, because there might be different styles that you want to make it look like something. So I'm going to kind of look around and see if I get exactly what I'm looking for. So I see a B right here on the end of his nose. That's what I'm seeing. But when you just type in here and then you go to rotate it, see how it the box moves but the B doesn't? What that means is we have to expand that. So I'm going to click on it, go to Object Expand, say OK. Now I'm able to move it. So I'm going to come over here and kind of rotate it around. Obviously it's going to look a little weird right now just because that's all I have. Okay, and then maybe I have a T right here, okay, and rotate it. Okay, it's going to be hard to kind of see it first, but once you start gathering it together, it's going to start working its way around. I'm going to show you some examples of some too that are finished. So that was just a regular text tool. This one is type on a path, and then lastly I'm going to show you is type in an area. Now for type in the area, where I usually use it is, for example, maybe if he has a beard, or for girls like the cheekbones. Okay, because it kind of gives you something to go off of, because a lot of the time girls the pictures that we find of them on the internet, everything is very fresh and clean and touched up with Photoshop, so you need something in there to define their face. Otherwise, this whole part is just blank. So type in an area. I'm actually going to do it right here. Here's goatee, but I need an area to type it. So I'm going to actually use a pen tool this time, and I'm going to create the shape kind of with his goatee. You know, remember click and drag. I want to make curves. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's a pretty good shape for his goatee. Now I'm going to come in here with the type in an area. You have to click on the line itself to get it to work for the type in an area. I'm going to come in and I'm going to type in my letters to fill in the box. We used to be able just to hold down on it and it would go. No. I can't tell. Hold on. And don't worry about these little red boxes. You're going to see them all over your page because they're going to say that there's text outside the box, okay? So that's actually X's. I'm going to kind of make this a little bigger so I don't have to do this all day. Okay, so say that's the type in an area. Again, these don't print. These are little alerts to you. They do not print, so don't freak out on those. So now that I have that goatee, you know, I may want to come in and do a little bit more detail, probably go smaller, but that looks good to kind of shade in, okay? So those are the three types: type on a path, type in an area, and then your single letter type tool. With the single letter type tool, remember that you have to object expand it out. And once you do that, you can't go back and manipulate it. It's a picture. Okay, you can't go back and change the text. You can't go back and then you'd have to delete it and do it again if you have to kind of flip it up. So that's kind of how that setup works, and that's how type on a path works.